this issue about multipolarity has arisen very sharply. Because it is about this issue. There's a matter that's not discussed very often here with regard to this issue. It is what is called in the U.S. the Wolfowitz doctrine. Paul Wolfowitz, a Republican, at some point he made a proposal. It was after the collapse of the Soviet Union, that the U.S. should never allow that any country in the world should be so influential that it threatens any interests of the U.S. And the paper leaked that proposal, and it was attacked even by the New York Times. This is too imperialist and all that. But that concept has never left U.S. national security policy. So that is why you would find a lot of people in the United States will say the war in Ukraine was in fact a U.S. war against Russia, using the Ukrainians. The purpose was to defeat the Russians, so that it's like they want to defeat the Chinese, to make sure there's no power in the world, as Wolfowitz said, who would challenge the interests of the U.S. I'm saying that is why you find the discussion about multipolarity. Now, our country takes a position that it is non-aligned. It's correct. It's a correct position. It's not aligned with Ukraine. It's not aligned with Russia on this matter. And they are saying there to be a peaceful resolution of this issue. And that resolution cannot avoid discussing this matter about a multipolar world. Because it lies at the heart of the conflict in Ukraine. The Russians would never ever agree that Ukraine should become a member of NATO. I am saying, bear in mind, these are people who lost 25, 30 million people during the Second World War. And I don't imagine NATO will want to change its position to say anybody who wants to apply for join to membership of NATO, they are free to do so. So in the end, I'm saying this conflict, my view, is that this war in Ukraine can only be resolved, ended, in the context of a discussion about this multipolar issue. The positions taken by the South African government about non-alignment between the two belligerents is fine. It's correct. But in the end, the solution has got to be between the true belligerents. Yeah. I hope that answers your question. We support, I'm talking now about the ANC, we supported the proposal about a two-state solution with regard to Israel and the Palestine question. This was in support of a position that had been taken by the PLO as a representative of the people of Palestine. You would remember that there was a conference in Oslo some years back, which was between the Israelis and the Palestinians to discuss what to do about the conflict between the two of them. It's out of that conference that there was a decision, okay, let us then have a two-state solution. And as part of that process of forming a two-state solution, the establishment of the Palestinian Authority. I'm saying we supported that proposal about the two-state solution because that was the proposal of the Palestinians themselves. We said we agree. We support your position on this. You remember we had, there was a proposal here for a two-state solution also here, which we refused. You remember they wanted, some of the Afrikaners wanted a folk state. So there must be formed a folk state somewhere in South Africa. So we have that state and then you have South Africa. We said no. But I'm saying in this case, when the Palestinians themselves said the two-state solution, we said we'll support you. Practically what has happened with regard to that is that, this thing that they talk about, facts on the ground. Effectively what has happened is that the possibility for the establishment of two states, I think, has ceased to exist. Because of the way the Israelis have handled this matter. If, for instance, you take the occupation, the settlements on the West Bank, practically the physical possibility for the establishment of two states, I think, has ceased to exist. And recently you saw what the Prime Minister Netanyahu has said, that in any case he is opposed to a two-state solution because you can't establish, he says, by definition, if you had a Palestinian state, sovereign and all that next door, it would be hostile to Israel. So he said quite plainly they are against a two-state solution. And as part of the reason, the approach towards this conflict in Gaza of the Israelis has been to, if we can chase away these Palestinians to go and live somewhere else, it'd be better. So that Gaza then becomes part of Israel. I think the possibility practically for the two-state solution at the moment is not possible. And yet we can't continue to allow the situation where the rights of the Palestinian people are disrespected. So we're stuck with a conundrum. You will have seen as in the most recent decisions, for instance, of the International Court of Justice, where the International Court of Justice have said that these settlements, for instance, on the West Bank, are illegal. The occupation of what was Palestinian land post-1948 is illegal, according to the International Court of Justice. But the Israelis are completely ignoring whatever the ICJ says. So I'm saying we're stuck with a situation where the rights of the Palestinians are not being addressed, and the possibility to address them in the context of a two-state solution, I think, ceases to exist because of the behavior of the Israelis. So what is going to happen? I think we're in a situation of a conflict that which won't end. And I think any attempt to persuade the Palestinians not to fight for their rights will fail. So the Palestinians will continue to fight for their rights. And I imagine the Israelis will continue to talk about self-defense. So what is to be done? I don't know. I really honestly don't know. I think we should ask the Palestinian colleagues need to answer that question. One of the unfortunate things that has happened, it seems to me, you've had a virtual disappearance of the PLO. So, who speaks for the Palestinian people? That becomes a question. the People's Republic of China has just done a very, very good thing of convening all of the Palestinian factions in Beijing and saying to them, you must come together as a people and pursue. So there's an agreement among themselves, the Palestinians, reached in Beijing, that they will then come together and maybe reconstitute the PLO or whatever decision they take. Because at the moment, we don't have this one voice of the Palestinians to pose this question that you are posing to me, to say to them, what is your future? What do you say about yourselves? Gaddafi, for many years, Gaddafi said he was against this two-state solution because he thought it never worked. Let's have a one-state solution so that the Palestinians and the Israelis, everybody, the Jewish community and the Palestinians, they get together and live in one country as we live in one country. That proposal, of course, would be unacceptable to people like Netanyahu. We've seen the attempt to define Israel as a Jewish state. You've got Palestinians who are Israelis. But they want to attach this particular description to Israel, if they can, as Netanyahu is saying, if we can chase away all of these Arabs in Gaza and then West Bank and take over these territories. That will be his solution. So I'm saying, colleagues, I think hopefully the Palestinian leadership will tell us what it is that needs to be done in this situation. Because the answer to that question is not very easy. The situation definitely on the ground is against the notion of a two-state solution. We all repeat the call for two-state solution, but in practice, I think the possibility to bring it about is not there. And as I've said, Netanyahu has said, in any case, over his dead body, there will be no two-state solution. And as far as I know, we are not about to withdraw from the ICC. The position I think that we've taken, which was that we should act on the matter of the ICC together with the rest of the African Union. And what the African Union was about was not withdrawing from the ICC, but changing various parts of the Rome Statute. And I think that is the South African position.